Hey, Jim.
How are you?
Good. How things?
Oh, things are good. Thank you for being patient. I was just finishing up another interview with a member of 98 Degrees, Jeff Timmins, so the boy band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good.
he said, I told him I'm interviewing you. He's like, oh, wow. He's like, he was very impressed and
Oh, yeah.
had to say hi to you.
Well, hi back. Um, you won't speak to him again, but that's sweet of him. Appreciate it.
We are going to continue it actually, because I told him that I'm up against the time, so we're going to finish up the interview another day.
Okay.
Uh,
Good.
but glad to talk to you. It's so cool to connect with you. Been a longtime fan of yours. First of all, how is everything with you? Staying safe and healthy?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm getting up there now, but I feel pretty good, actually.
That's great.
Just waiting. I've got plenty of projects, but of course, no go-aheads yet,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the vaccine will help, and I just feel bad for a lot of people hurting out there, and I don't know how they're managing it. They're not really. That's the truth. It's catastrophic,
It's tough. I mean, my sister is a nurse, so I hear stories daily, if she's administering tests to a lot of people. She's even had COVID herself, recovered thankfully, but it's been tough,
Oh, yeah.
My
and
uncle,
especially for those first responders, they've had a hard time of it, and they are going to be the first ones to get the vaccine, of course. It's very important but hopefully things will start picking up, but who knows? It's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
I think so. I mean, it always takes, it's going to take time for all this to roll out. And now, things are spiking. I'm in Chicago, and it's, there's a lot of numbers going up daily, so it's like, it's tough everywhere, no matter where you're at, and I've talked to other actors too. And, some of them is a big thing. It's like, you got to keep yourself mentally healthy at this point in time, just to get through these times. That's the big, important, I think, message I've been hearing a lot.
Well, we're catching up on a lot of content that I would never have seen, probably.
That's right, too. And anything in specific that comes to mind that you've seen?
Well, I'm kind of crazy. Just by happenstance, everything I like is French. I don't know why, but just happens to be that way. My favorite show of the whole pandemic for me has been The Bureau.
Oh, okay.
Which is an amazing show. And if you haven't seen it, I suggest you see it. Oh, the lights just came on. Anyway, it's a French espionage show about French CIA. And it's fantastic. It's certainly, I think, production-wise, it's in the Mideast, in Russia, Moscow, everywhere. It's incredible. And then I also enjoyed, on a much lighter vein, a thing called Call My Agent, which is about a theatrical agency in Paris, and it's hilarious.
Really?
Very funny, very interesting, very well written, brilliantly acted, and very French, but it's something that we can all relate to as actors. I mean, I don't know whether, but it's not so in that. That just the general public don't get it. It's everybody will get it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it's good. It's good. You kind of find some hidden gems here and there,
Yeah.
That's at least one thing you can do. We do have time to experience new things now and see new content that's out there. Tell me about this comedy, this satirical Bernie Sanders comedy. It seems fitting with the time of year that we've had with the elections and all that's been going on. Tell me your involvement in that and how that.
Well, listen, to be honest with you, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what it's like. No, I don't know what it's like. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Oh, you've seen it. Oh,
yes,
well,
I have. I have the link to it, so maybe I should pass it along to you.
Oh yeah. Well, they probably did, and I just missed it. I don't know, but it was actually, I shot my bit in the pandemic itself. They came, all social distancing, masks, the whole thing. And I'm, only on camera at the beginning and the end, and most of it's voiceover. So there was no problem. But I did like the people involved, and the director actually is from Vermont and knew Bernie.
Oh, wow.
And wanted to tell the story very badly. And I thought it was pretty well written. I don't know how it turned out, though. So I really don't know. I mean, it's a shot in the dark here.
Pretty well, actually.
Good. Oh, good.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely
great.
well. It's like, for me, it's like, how do you even keep up with all the things you do? You just seem to like constantly be putting out either voiceover work or films or television. I'm just wondering, like, how do you even, when things are obviously going on and when we're filming regularly without the pandemic, but how often are you working? Are you working daily almost on different projects?
No. I'm not. But, if you do a voiceover, it just takes an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in and out, and it's and it can really, if it's well written, it can really resonate with people. But it's only, for me, an hour of my time, and so it's a little bit misleading. That all this work, it's really not that much. Of course, a movie, now that's a different thing, because that means you have to move to where it's being shot, you stay, it's flights and this and the whole thing. So that's they're much more difficult to do, and you only do 2 or 3 of those a year, perhaps, if that. So, but it seems that I've been doing quite a few lately, but not since the pandemic. We've had almost a year off from doing movies, except for this one.
Mm-hmm. And this one was right. And you said all the restriction that even took place to even get this done too.
Yes, and I'm not part of the cast, really. I'm sort of, I'm just there to explain what's going on, basically.
That's right.
And so, and I think when they cut the film, they realized they needed to be guided through, and probably very smart, I would think.
Yeah, no question. I think I've heard from a lot of actors now who are, few of them that are working right now. It's a different set, for in a lot of ways. It's a lot more restricted. Everything's micromanaged as it has to be, but the sets aren't as, comfortable, I guess, as they used to be.
No, and I've got like a few things in the pipeline. 2 movies that I'm waiting, and they keep putting them back and back and back, and and all that. So, but as soon as we get the go-ahead, I'll be on a flight. And then there's a second season of a series I did called Truth Seekers in London with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. So we're thinking that that'll probably get a second season, but we haven't been told yet. But people seem to like it. So I'm hoping it'll come, and that'll be next summer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think, I mean, everything's been pushed back in so many ways. Yeah. So I just feel like it's going to come a point after maybe the vaccine, like there's going to be so much going on at one time that things are going to overlap each other too. There's going to be a mass probably of productions going on.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, they'll figure it all out. We're even doing the interviews like this would be probably in person a lot of ways now, but I'm so used to now doing this over the computer. It's kind of become the norm.
It's actually pretty easy to do. I mean,
do you like it as an actor?
This going.
Yeah, how do you feel about this going forward as an actor? Instead of going to the press junkets and the hotel rooms and all that.
I'd rather have it. Way better.
Yeah.
I mean, not a great fan of those press junket things, but I mean, it's nice to see the cast again.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, and the director, producers or whatever. But so it's sort of a little last hurrah get together, kind of. But I think doing it this way saves a lot of time and expense for everyone.
Sure.
And I'm sure you'd prefer it. You don't want to have to get on a flight and go off. It's much easier doing it from home.
No question. And it's so much more accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't like doing Zoom though with friends. I hate that.
Is there
I've got friends that want to do it every Friday night, and I hate it. Sometimes I forget. So I go, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, whatever.
Yeah, that's a commitment then. Every Friday night, then that's a commitment that you would have to be part of. So
and also, it's all a bit forced. And then you don't know whether you interact or interject, because then everything stops and they all kind of look to your box or whatever. And so it's a bit weird, but I guess it's better than nothing. So
yeah, no question.
We're lucky. Yeah.
I mean, Zoom, I think, has helped out a lot of people. I mean, especially I've spoken to some actors who are based in LA now that, have families in Australia or all over the world.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It allows them to stay in contact with their families too, in that essence too, when especially now when there's restrictions entering different countries and traveling across the world. That's
Well, I just use FaceTime.
Yeah.
And then you can go
system.
on audio or video, either or, which is good. I've never used Zoom before. I've just used FaceTime.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Zoom has become, I think, like a tentpole for every press junket I do. Everything, it just tends to be through Zoom. I think they figure out a good system to do it, where you have waiting rooms in a sense and all these sort of things. They've done a really good job.
They have. It's brilliant. They're brilliant.
Like, you literally don't have much difference between besides the in-person feeling, but no. Like you do a press junket for a film, you have the director and 2 actors all at the same time, you can talk to them. So
yeah, I think FaceTime, they don't have that. It's like using the phone. It's just a video phone.
Right.
But it uses the internet, so it's free.
Which is great too,
and we all like that. We know, because I remember these huge international call bills I used to get was staggering.
Yeah, because it would, no question, not only that, but then they used to, I have family in Poland, and my mom would call them, and she had these phone cards. Like, you'd buy these phone cards.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd call, and you have like, it'd say like you have 60 minutes and you really had like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. You never were like even right on the amount of time you're paying for. It was a trouble. And now it's so much easier to communicate, And you've been in this industry for so long. I mean, you've seen changes in the industry and in the world in a sense. From your start, when you started a while back, how much change have you seen? Kind of, do you like how things evolved in the industry are like now, or you kind of prefer it back in the day in a sense? What's your kind of perspective?
Oh, I don't know. I think that the sadness for me is that, when I first started in the film business, and it is a business, let's face it.
No question.
I was doing small independent movies that were really cutting edge and really meant something. I think the independent movie, as we knew it, has sort of died almost. It's almost impossible, to do an independent movie and then to show it on a big screen. It's just too expensive. And the only movies that really get played, are the usual Marvel movies or whatever,
Yeah.
Hang on one sec. My son is calling me. Hang on.
No problem. And off he goes to pick up a phone call. There we are.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. Yeah, as you were saying about the Marvel movie, how everything's
so what I'm saying really is that what's happened basically is the independent movies that were the cutting edge, sort of the stories that really were not mainstream, but maybe more interesting, have gone to cable. Now it's streaming. And they've taken up the slack. So Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, all of them, they've taken up I mean, look, they're still making them. It's just a different delivery system.
Right.
And I don't really care how it's delivered as long as it's delivered, you know. So it doesn't really matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when you're making a movie, and I remember, you know, working with masters like Kubrick, you know, every frame had to be perfect and sort of as he wanted it, like a painting, so that when it was seen on a 60-foot screen, you know, there'd be absolutely no blemishes. It would be perfect. And now we're really making movies to watch on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the artistry of the lighting and all that is really lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Do you think, you mentioned Kubrick, do you think he could have thrived in an era like this where we're watching movies on our phone? How do you think he, as a a great of all time, a director like that, how do you think he would have navigated in this kind of industry now and era when he was such a master of the craft?
I think Stanley would have embraced it and loved it. He was into all gadgets of all kinds, you know, so computers would have, of course, they had computers, but they weren't sophisticated like they are. I mean, the iPhone is basically a very powerful computer that you've got in a phone.
Yeah.
I mean, IBM had built a whole floor, a wing of a whole office block to house just what the memory we have in one iPhone. You know, it's just insane when you think of it like that. So I think Stanley would have loved it and would have embraced it. He was always very curious, and he'd probably been making movies on an iPhone.
Interesting. You know, when you look at, his film, A Clockwork Orange, I mean, it just completely transformed your career and just became such an iconic classic. Did you think when you were making the film that it would ever reach to such heights and that you knew you had something special working on it? Or is just kind of the thing where you just do it and then you kind of let it out to the world and see what it became?
No, I knew when we were shooting it, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how good. I mean, I knew it was quite earth-shattering in many ways. Don't forget, 1971, when it came out, it was revolutionary. I mean,
Right.
First off, people couldn't really get past the violence. But really, if you actually look at it carefully, there's not really that much violence. I mean, there's no blood or ketchup, you know. It's mainly a psychological violence. That it is. And but you know, because time has gone on and times have changed so much that the movie is now about something else. It's really more about the political element of the film, about Big Brother controlling you.
Yeah.
Now that we can all relate to today, especially today. It's sort of caught up. But the gangs, the violence, the drug, that's old hat. We've been through all that. But it did sort of foretell all that, weirdly. You know, this is before all the big gangs. I mean, there were gangs, of course, there's always been. But
Right.
gangs with drugs and you know, drugs being the kind of main thrust of how they earned their money, you know, the economics of it, was all foretold by Burgess in his novel. And it's a pretty, you know, brilliant novel, actually. And, you know, he invented this language. He made Alex, the protagonist, a very interesting character because he's really quite smart. He's a very intelligent guy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, yeah, he's a thug. He's immoral, maybe, but you know, how immoral can you be if you love Beethoven? So it's always a dilemma. He's always giving you things to think about.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, yeah.
That's what I mean. That there's so many layers to it. That's what a rich character consists of, where it makes you kind of wonder what side is he on and what's moral and what's immoral. That's why I felt that role, the character of Alex and just that film in general, it was so layered, and it had there's so much gray area to it, really.
Yeah. Well, that a lot of it was in the book, and a lot of it I brought myself. So it's to make it three-dimensional, of course, you have to wear the costume and do the walk. And that was a fascinating character to do, because it wasn't realistic, it wasn't naturalistic. It was real, of course, you believed it, but he was a larger than life character, almost Shakespearean in the size of him. He was a sort of modern day Richard III, carving his way through the night with his gang. I mean, it's quite poetic in a way.
Especially the way you put it. It certainly is, and it sounds like it. What always impressed me, or I appreciate about you and your career, is that you never shied away from things that maybe others did, from sex, drugs, violence in film. I mean, you did Caligula and so many other films over the years. You always went for it, and I admired that trait. Has that been your mentality, always kind of going for it? Maybe when people would question certain things, is this too sexual or is this too violent? You just went for it all your career.
I did. I just went for it. And maybe I shouldn't have done Caligula, for instance, because there was such a hoopla that went on with it. And, the producer, Guccione, who was a pornographer, he, published Penthouse, but he took the movie, re-edited it himself, and he's not an editor, he's not a director, and he inserted a lot of hardcore porn that was very 70s. The girls looked way too modern. There was nothing to do with ancient Rome. And it sort of spoiled the movie. Not that I'm a prude. I don't care, really. It's not the porn. It was just the wrong kind of porn. Of course, listen, ancient Rome was very raunchy, and they were into, crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. But they were also very civilized. And, the Roman Empire, still today, we follow a lot of the things that they did, especially in terms of justice and all this. And so they left a lot on the world, the Romans. It was the longest ruling empire that the world has ever seen.
No question. And there's so much history behind it and stories to be told, really, that we might have just only read in history books in a lot of ways too. The thing about you've played a lot of doctors, evil guys, but a lot of doctors in your career. I was curious if that coincidence, or you maybe were typecast for at some point, because you kind of look at it, you played so many. I mean, heck, you even played. I enjoyed your performance in the Rob Zombie's Halloween reboot.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Loomis too, but it just seemed like you played so many doctors over the years, good, bad, indifferent.
Yeah, that's true. Mostly bad, but I don't know. They make doctors the sort of evil, character. I think because doctors are supposed to be so trusting. Mm-hmm. But Loomis wasn't a heavy. He was just a buffoon. I mean, there is a man who, is this doctor who's had basically one patient for 17 years, right? And the man escapes and literally kills half a town. How good of medical practice is this doctor?
Not very good.
I don't think he's that good, but he thinks he's pretty good, which is what made him fun to play, and it was great fun working with Rob. Great guy. Enjoyed it very much.
How often do you get kind of stopped or asked about Star Wars generation, being part of that?
You mean Star Trek?
Star Trek. God, I always come on. Yes, big difference there. Star Trek.
Yeah, big difference. I get asked a lot because there are a lot of Trekkies.
Right.
That's I'm really passionate. I'm the one that's responsible for James T. Kirk's demise.
Yes, you are.
So they want to know about it, there's really not that lot to say, except I was chosen and I was happy to do it. Mm-hmm. But I'm a great admirer of Bill Shatner. I do like Bill. I think he's a fun guy, and I enjoyed the shoot mainly because of him and Patrick, who I'd known years before in 1965.
Oh, wow.
At a season at Stratford-on-Avon at the Royal Shakespeare Company. So, he was there for 10 years or something.
Unbelievable. Did you knew back then that he would be something, that he would become such a big force in this industry?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see it, but he always worked very hard. He always committed himself to whatever character he was doing, which is admirable. And I'm sort of thrilled for him. It's a great way that he's had a great career, and he's still doing great work. So, all power to him.
No question. Have you made over these years working with so many different collaborators and actors, have you become, in a sense, really close to some of them that you continually keep in contact with? Have you made certain best friends in this industry over the years, that anyone that stands out to you? That
I've made good friends. It's very hard in this business to, keep in touch all the time, because they're always on to another journey, with another project. One of my favorite people is Paul Weiss, who directed, produced, and wrote a lot of Mozart in the Jungle, which is a series I did for Amazon with Gael Garcia Bernal and the lovely Bernadette Peters. And I love Chris, and I love his talent too. And he's, I'm sort of close to him and his family. We became friends, but I haven't seen him for a while. In fact, I owe him a call probably. But with this pandemic, everybody's shut down. It's really weird. You can't even go out now.
Yeah.
Now they've closed us down again. We can't even go and have lunch somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's insane. Are you in the UK currently, or Los Angeles?
No, I'm in Southern California.
Okay. Yeah, it's shut down. I mean, they had that new stay-at-home order that went into effect last week. So I'm in Chicago. I was in LA until mid-July, and I came back here to stay with family for the rest of the year. Figured.
I don't blame you. Chicago's a great city. One of my favorites. I love it. Yeah.
Great food, right?
Yeah. Oh, the best food. I've done a couple of terrific things there. My favorite one, it was a Robert Altman movie called The Company, about the Joffrey Ballet of Chicago. And we got to hang with the whole company for like 6 weeks. It was one of the most fun projects I've ever made, really. I love Bob Altman. He was a dear friend who I'd known since 1971.
Wow.
So we were great friends, and we'd always get together if we were in the same city or something, and we'd hang out and be naughty boys together.
I can only imagine those stories.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was always fun, and but yeah. Chicago's certainly one of my favorite places. Great music too. Great music.
And great theater too.
Yeah, great theater. Steppenwolf, of course.
Yes.
What?
Right.
You going? Excuse me.
No
My
problem.
11-year-old's got something to say. You can see I'm on a Zoom here. What do you want me to do?
I'm saying bye.
Oh, you're saying goodbye? Okay. Bye, darling. I'll see you later. Where are you going?
We're going upstairs. Where's my mask?
Well, tell Mum to wait for me.
No.
Are you going to eat? There's nowhere to eat.
We'll just get you food.
Okay.
There
Are you going to the Thai place?
No, we're going to the inn.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Family business, right?
Yeah, I got to do it. All right.
A couple more before I wrap up here. Is there anything in your career that you want to accomplish that you haven't yet? It seemed like you've done so much. Is there anything that kind of sticks out?
I know. Jim, I really, I have no regrets.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Listen, I'm still working. I'm in my 6th decade, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an actor over 50 odd years, 57 years. So that's a long time, professional actor. My God, it is a long time, put that way. So is there anything? Not really. No, listen, I'm very lucky that I enjoy what I do. Now, I know a lot of actors become disillusioned and get fed up with it, and yeah, I can see that, of course. But I've never felt that way, and I've always been lucky enough to have, reasonable stuff to do. And I've enjoyed it. And often I sit on a movie set and I look around and I think, oh, and they're still paying me, it's sort of such a privilege to do.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it. And I think that is the secret, enjoying something so much that the audience can see that glint in the eye.
Do you have kind of in your mind a retirement or an end point to your career, or are you just kind of going with the flow in a sense, as long as they'll employ you, you're going to be doing it? Is there at some point that you kind of maybe want to temper it down, or maybe,
No. You just keep going. Listen, nothing in my career has been planned. I've said what's it to do with this and there's that and the other, and I go, well, I like this. Let's just, or oh, that's a friend of mine. I got to work with them again. It's a bit more like that. I'm into working with friends, people I like or admire. That I enjoy more than anything. But there's a lot of things. Oh, excuse me 1 minute.
Don't let the
No
dogs
problem.
out.
Are you going to bring back some food?
I will, but don't let the dogs out.
Don't let them out. Okay. No, I'm not going to let the dogs out. Okay. What, have they done their business?
I don't know, but just don't let them out.
Oh,
If you have to let them out on the back porch,
okay. All right.
they have to be sat with because they'll take off.
Okay. All right.
It's not that big.
Okay, Jim, sorry.
You're in charge of a lot of
We're
things.
doing fine. This is just life in the McDowell household.
That's right. That's how it should be,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's great. And finally, I guess I wanted to ask you, what sort of hobbies and interests do you have? I mean, any things you like to do on your free time when you're not working, and anything?
Well, I've got these young kids, relatively young, 11, 13, and 16, or they're all about to turn. They're all about to, within a month, they all turn. December through January, they'll all be, a year older. But, we live on a golf course. So since the pandemic, I had a new knee put in because I could hardly walk, but now I'm playing golf. And the kids play a lot, and they're way better than me now, It wasn't long ago when I could squash them, but now they hit the ball miles past me, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you had a bogey." I went, I thought it was a par. They went, well, no, bogey for you. So they're pretty good, and it's fun to see them really loving it too. That's great.
Yeah, and it's cool, I'm sure, to see them grow, into teenagers and soon to be adults, too. That's something that you can't take away. That's an experience in life, seeing your kids grow, it's pretty special.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it's a pretty noisy house.
I can imagine, with the dogs too and everything. Yeah. Keep you on your toes, and that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you, and thank you for taking the time.
Stick your face in. There's the 16-year-old who just wandered in. Hello.
I like the shades and hat.
This kid can sing. He is really talented. We just made an album. It's amazing.
I should connect you guys with Jeff Timmins. He's working behind the scenes on a lot of different things.
Is he?
Yes.
Well, tell him to look for Beckett McDowell. The only place on a video is at Norm's Rare Guitars.
Okay.
Which is like one of the great guitar stores in the world, where unfortunately we've been too often a customer, but
Beckett knows what to get.
yeah, he's got some great guitars from Norm, and it's one of those things, one of the places you have to go in LA. If you're a musician, it's like the holy grail of guitars.
There you go.
And then he's got the back room, and but the other day we were there and he brought out two beautiful R200s and J200s, sorry, J200s, which were 1953 or something, which were the Elvis, were ones that Elvis used. You know, they weren't actually Elvis's, but they were exactly the same year, same sound. It was the uncanny. I mean, it's the same sound. It was kind of wild, you know.
Well, no,
Because
I'll get you guys in touch. He's building a platform also for creative and performers to kind of do their stuff on and promote their work through multiple mediums. I think that'd be a good connection to make there. So I can definitely pleasurely do that for sure.
Now, who is he? Because he didn't hear.
Jeff Timmins of 98 Degrees. Was a big time pop star in the 2000s, and now does a lot of production work behind the scenes. So Google him. He's
Where can you hear Weirdo? Anywhere?
No. What?
No, he's not. He's doing an album.
Mhm.
He's doing these songs. He's working with a terrific singer who's the lead singer of Simple Plan.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Pierre, what's his name?
Pierre Bouvier.
Bouvier.
There you go.
Isn't that that's a kind of a dog, isn't it? A Bouvier. Anyway, regardless, they're working together, and he's a fantastic guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he lives very close to us. So because of the pandemic, he can't go on tour with the guys. And so he's just working with Beckett, and they're having so much fun.
That's fantastic.
Writing songs and doing them, you know.